It was a single ICE raid, not a border sweep, not a mass operation, just one restaurant, and entire families started fleeing the country on their own. No handcuffs, no threats, just feel what's coming next. So you tell me, if they were never going to be deported, why are they running now? You got CNN panicking. We know their numbers are tanking. And the truth just broke their narrative. Let's check it out.
Now, an Arizona restaurant chain is being investigated for alleged money laundering, labor exploitation, and human smuggling.
More than 24 people were arrested, and federal agents expect that number to grow. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is live in Prescott right now with what we know about the investigation. Gabby?
Well, Mark Rebe, Colt Grill is the restaurant at the center of this investigation. We're at the Prescott location where all is quiet now. You can see behind me the doors are locked and the restaurant is closed. But just a few hours ago, this place was swarming with federal agents along with their other locations in Arizona. Witnesses told us they could see those agents speaking with people inside who appeared to be employees. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security says federal agents executed 28 federal search warrants at all of the Colt Grill locations in Cottonwood, Prescott Valley, and Sedona. 4 people were arrested on charges related to money laundering. DHS says more than 20 immigration-related arrests also took place, but that number could grow. There's also a location in Foley, Alabama that was raided by federal agents this morning. We've talked to a lot of disappointed customers who planned on eating lunch at these locations this afternoon. They were all shocked to hear about the investigation, saying from an outsider perspective, they never noticed anything.
I bet. So I used to a restaurant chain called Colt Grill. Not one location, but a full-scale raid across Arizona and Alabama. And the charges were money laundering, human smuggling. This wasn't a political stunt. This was a surgical operation right here. And when you start looking up the employers, everything changes. You know what I mean? When you start following it. The money dries up, the cover disappears, and the fear, that spreads faster than anything else. But the most powerful moment didn't come from who got arrested. Nah, it came from who didn't. Who didn't wait around to be arrested.
These are the main pictures from our house that we didn't want to just throw away.
Sasha Mendoza has the impossible task of packing up her family's life in Pittsburgh into a handful of suitcases.
It's really hard to tell a 4-year-old that they can't bring their toys or their stuffed animal. There's just not enough room. We can't put a stuffed animal and then have no pants. I've literally never felt anxiety the way that I have in the last 2 years here.
So you are saying bye to the U.S. for good?
For good, yeah. Yeah, for good.
Fearful of President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, Sasha, her husband Julio, and their 3 kids are leaving behind the life they built together.
What are you the most excited for in Mexico?
The pool.
The pool?
And the beach.
And the beach?
Julio is an undocumented immigrant from Mexico. Sasha and their 3 children are all U.S. citizens. They decided to make the move together only moments after Trump took office.
There was an executive order being signed, and that was her call for. Said, like, what do you think about moving to Mexico? And I said, honestly, at this point, yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna move to Mexico.
We're gonna move to Mexico, not today.
And with that, the family began to wind down their lives, sifting through keepsakes and moving out of their home.
Say bye to the house.
Bye. Miss you.
When you were dating, did your status as being undocumented come up at all?
And then our first date, we kind of were mentioning it without mentioning it. And at one point, he ordered a drink and he asked for extra ice. And I said, no, we don't do ice here. And he was like, That was the only thing we needed to say.
So, by the way.
Julio crossed the U.S. southern border when he was 11 years old, and he's lived in Pittsburgh ever since.
One of his first concerns when we talked about moving is how am I going to watch the Steeler games?
You're a Pittsburgh native for all intents and purposes.
Oh my God, yeah.
What made Trump a second term more nerve-wracking for you, that to come to a decision that you had to leave the country?
There are no limits. There are no limits on being a target. The only main concern is he looks brown, he looks different, he don't speak English. He's the one. It doesn't matter.
That's where things stand tonight in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
They were confronted with their worst nightmare when Kilmar Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to a notorious mega prison in El Salvador.
I can see myself in that, and I don't want us to wait until we're in the same situation.
There are people who will say, you came to the U.S. illegally. Why didn't you do it the right way? What do you say to people?
If you were to be put in my situation at my age to tell me do it the right way, the whole process pretty much takes about 15 to 20 years. By that time, I don't think my kids or anyone's kids who are starving or in a dangerous situation can wait 15, 20 years for you to come here and start working.
What did we say that we could get when we get there?
OPS fund.
No, we did not say that.
How did you approach the conversation with your kids?
They know the realistic part of it, which is that it will be very difficult for them to adapt to, especially mostly language-wise. That's like our biggest thing. They're not anywhere near fluent, and they are going to be going into a school that is Spanish-speaking. Who's that? That's you!
For Sasha, leaving the U.S. also means saying goodbye to the places she's called home.
You grew up at this house. What is it like for you to leave this house and what it represents to you?
It is definitely hard because, yeah, there's a lot of good memories. This has always been like the kind of comeback place. As far as we know, we won't be able to do that. We've kind of all decided that today is most likely the last time that we'll all be like in the same place at the same time.
Hours of research behind them, the Mendoza family spent their final days in Pittsburgh saying goodbye to family and friends.
Stay in touch, right? No? I love it so big, Dad. Stay safe. Stay safe.
It's a decision not taken lightly, but for Julio, no other choice.
Rolling the dice will be staying here. That will be rolling the dice. Playing with my life, playing with my kids' life, playing with my wife's life. That will be a gamble. I would say it's taking a gamble. I'm taking a certain win on this one, for sure.
I mean, yeah. He did it the right way. But a full family. You have, the father undocumented. But that's one she said her and her children were, but then she said she wasn't cool with ICE, so that maybe implied that she was. I don't know. But undocumented and quietly packs up and leaves the U.S. No ICE trucks, no court order. They saw what was coming and got out. That's how you know policy is working. That right there is what we call a clear indication that it is. When the threat of enforcement becomes real enough to change your behavior, you don't need to swing. They duck on their own. But while everyday people are waking up, the media, yeah, they still are hallucinating.
Democrat and talk about other Republicans. You disagree with that?
I think it could actually be both. I agree with you. He brought an attitude,
that Republicans liked
that no one else was really
Ask a random Republican to tell name 3 policies they like. When you see, respectfully, when you see lazy reporters out here asking people, well, why did you vote for Donald Trump? And they say, I like his policies. You rarely see a follow-up. You rarely see them say, well, name a policy that you like. Tell me what it is you liked about him. Because they know, I know, they are incapable of answering it.
I think that what's missing here from Democrats obviously is just a certain degree of authenticity. The problem with all of this stuff is that it doesn't come across as real. Yeah.
And bingo.
And also attached to something that matters to people's lives.
I'm actually going to compliment Donald Trump for a change, probably for the first time in my life.
Very last word.
He comes across as incredibly authentic in who he is. You may not like him, but he comes across as that's who he is.
An authentic idiot, yes.
Right, but authentic to his base. What I just saw on TV right now is not authentic. Now, I've never hung out with Gavin Newsom. I don't know if he curses up a...
So CNN's panel couldn't even basically finish a coherent sentence. Scott Jennings tried to speak, and the rest drowned him out, with all that pure panic. The caption reads, CNN panel just couldn't realize why nobody is buying their rhetoric around deportations. Oh, man. I'm telling you, look, it's because it's never about truth. It's about control. When Trump enforces immigration law, the media acts like it's the purge. Why? Because deep down they know the American people agrees with him. And even you've seen one of the panelists up there like, I hate to agree with him. And the other one had to insert a dislike for him. But when the laws fall apart, what happens? The facts, they step in.
So the suggestion is that the operations are just roving, driving around, rounding people up. What do you say to that, Andres?
I would say that's not accurate. We have our targets. We know who we're going to pick up, and we have our plan beforehand. We don't just go out there and look for anybody. We know who we're looking for.
What do you think about Senator Padilla is also among some other lawmakers who believe. So the suggestion is that.
So a nice officer just shut it all down. The Democrat narrative is built on chaos, but I just exposed it's all calculated. It's calculated missions. It's not rocket science. And y'all want to see the newest facility? It's already making more run. New self-deportation ad just dropped. Migrant being held in alligator Alcatraz. They are now begging for a chance to self-deport. Comes with this picture. Yeah. Florida's newest migration detention center. So effective, migrants are begging to self-deport just to avoid being sent there. That's not oppression. That's deterrence. If you build it tough, clean, and legal, people will leave before they even get booked. Yeah, man. And let's talk about the numbers real quick.
Data for the month of June highlights the lowest month of encounters ever recorded. Customs and Border Protection says it is the second month in a row of zero releases of illegal aliens into the U.S. compared to almost 28,000 releases in June of last year.
Sheesh. Lowest illegal crosses in recorded history, zero parole releases, 93% drop since last year? That's not a trend. That's a shutdown. And it happened the moment Trump's policies touched the system again. But when I start targeting actual threats, watch how the left reacts to it.
On an incident in Providence Sunday, City Council now asking questions after an ICE operations vehicle collided with a suspect's vehicle on Alverson Street. The Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement telling us they arrested a Honduran man with a history of fentanyl trafficking charges in Rhode Island. They gave us this photo. ICE says this is 27-year-old Ivan Rene Mendoza Meza, and they say he's admitted to being a member of the MS-13 gang. Rhode Island District Court had released him before federal officers took him into custody. Today in a letter, 10 members of the Providence City Council called on an independent review board to examine the arrest. On an incident in
What? They ordered an investigation. Hold on. So ICE arrests a repeat MS-13 gang member with fentanyl ties, and instead of praise, the Providence City Council launches an investigation into ICE. Am I hearing that right? If that's the case, man, you can't make this up. This guy's a criminal. Dangerous. But the people in charge are investigating the agents, not the predator. Why? I guess because law and order never really serves their agenda. And just when you thought the rhetoric couldn't get any worse.
Politicians. These actions that ICE officials and other federal agents are committing in our city, in our states, are horrifying.
Providence police say ICE detained Mendoza after chasing the vehicle he was in to this home on Alverson Avenue. Representative Enrique Sanchez arrived at the end of the scene and posted this on X, saying, quote, "The Nazi Gestapo ICE thugs kidnapped another of our neighbor in Providence this morning."
They're operating just as if Nazi thugs and Gestapo officials were conducting back in the 40s during World War II. They are apprehending people illegally. They're not identifying themselves. They're taking them to centers, to detention centers, to camps where people are are living in inhumane conditions.
ICE politicians.
These actions that ICE officials and
Democrat Rep. Enrique Sanchez compares ICE to Nazi Gestapo thugs. Says they're operating like it's World War II. Oh, man. This is where moral clarity dies. When you equate arresting gang members to genocide, you're not arguing in good faith. You're protecting lawlessness. And who's the face of this unhinged new leadership?
Has been about y'all because their messaging was always the same. How do you hear that in a political sense?
I'm glad that Whoopi has decided to step up into the leadership of the Democratic Party, you know, and that she is in line with Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Bernie Sanders and the rest of the team right now, taking that party further and further and further to the left and further away from the American people that the party says that they represent. The fact is the Democratic Party has learned zero lessons coming out of 2024. They are running on the same failed agenda that they ran on in 2024. They are an open borders, you know, weak America, inflationary spending party.
It's been about y'all because their
RNC Chess said it best. Glad Whoopi Goldberg stepped into the leadership of the Democrat Party. Toss her next to AOC, Bernie, and Crockett. Yeah, go ahead and do that. No solutions, no strength, just noise, fame, and fantasy. Meanwhile, ICE is out here doing the real work. And the left's only answer is meltdown. They said deportations was cruel. But what do you call it when people deport themselves just from fear? I wanna hit an answer to that in the comments. They said ICE was targeting families, but ICE is out here taking down gangs, smugglers, and felons. And of course, they always say Trump's plans would never work. Enforcement works, fear works, facts win. Drop a comment, man. Are y'all starting to see this pattern? Y'all be safe. Check on somebody today and quite literally be saving their life. Peace.